Is there anything else you wanted to share with the audience? And it's been such a beautiful journey to hear I can't wait till you come back to the medicine and to
Yeah.
hear about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It just be really compassionate with yourself and really patient and just, we tend to pour out so much to everyone else around us and we forget that it starts with yourself. That's really just really important. So yeah,
Yeah. And I would add forgiveness to that list.
absolutely.
We just to forgive our path and anything that has come up in the past and just realize that each day is a new day. And every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, here's another day. I get to be a whole different person today.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
Kayla, welcome to Cura Medicina.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I'm so excited to talk to you. I read
Thanks.
some of your writings that you've been doing. I recommend everyone go read your blog. So beautiful, your expressions. And I would love to start this with, you know, some maybe description of your journey, how you got here and who are you?
Okay, great. No, that sounds great. I'll
Yeah.
see how that works out. So I'll start. So my name is Kayla. Thanks for the introduction and the compliments. I appreciate that. I feel so humble to be here and talk to you today. I am originally from South Louisiana. I grew up in a large family in a small town, and I went through graduated high school, went into college, get to college, and spend one semester there. Nope, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go into the corporate world. I'm gonna go to work. So I started out in banking and fast forward about maybe 10 years in banking, I made the switch to the oil field because the oil field here or in South Louisiana is really prevalent. So I had an opportunity that I couldn't pass up, and so I went from banking into the oil field and I would say that that's probably where my journey actually started, although I didn't really realize it at the time. So I had a really busy job in the oil field. I was just really working a lot, just burning the candle at both ends because it just doesn't stop. So when I was working, I was starting to experience just some pain in my back that I hadn't experienced before. And went to my doctor and I was talking to my doctor about this back pain and he suggested a probe. He just said, "Hey, why don't you just let me go probe and just see if I can see something?" And I was 30 years old, 30, 31 at the time, and that conversation really it it scared me. I got home and I thought about it and I was like, "No, I lived a pretty healthy life before then." Physically and my diet. And so I was thinking, I'm not going that route. This is not the route that is for me. The next morning, I was up early. I pulled up free videos online for yoga, and that's where now it changed because just going from a regular working gal into this world that I don't quite remember what made me actually even try yoga that morning. That was just the next thought somewhere that was probably planted on, we're gonna go the natural route here. 6 months later, I am pain-free, no back pain, and a year later, just really feeling great, and yeah, that's now I'm a holistic health practitioner, so
And did somebody tell you about yoga or how did you make the leap from I have back pain to I need to find some modality that's going to help my body? Was it a friend? Was it just like a random search?
yeah, It must have been a random search. That was 15 years ago, so I just aged myself, but I'm thinking it was a random search because being an athlete whenever I was in school, I knew that stretching was really important. So I'm thinking that my mind probably went to, I'm going to try to stretch this out. And so the access was there, and I really needed the access in my home, in my personal space, because I had no time to go out of my way to practice. So I pulled it up on a laptop and got a free video and rolled out of bed and just did the practice and never stopped.
That's beautiful. And what is it about yoga do you think really helped you?
Think in initially, the stretching really helped, the free access really helped. Then it turned into something completely different. It turned into really being able to drop into myself, to be myself comfortably when I was in tough conversations, or it changed my perspective on how I lived my day to day life. Looking back, I didn't realize it was happening that way at the time. Now, absolutely. It calmed me. I felt my spiritual life, I got answers that growing up traditional Catholic, the church didn't really give me. So it shifted a lot of just my perspective in general.
Yeah, so yoga is a technology, I call it. And interesting that you're living this particular life that many of us have lived, corporate world, corporate job, doing things we don't like. And then we enter something that opens a channel inside of us, a connection, I would say, to the divine, which you probably had no intention of doing, right? And I'm guessing you finally left that job after a few years of practice.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me more about that transition, right? Because we all have a moment in our life where we're partially who we were and we're partially who we're becoming. And that transition can be tricky, and sometimes people never take the step. So let's talk a little bit about, being in the soup of that chemistry.
Yeah, sure. That's actually happened several times since then. So the first
Oh,
time
great.
was, yeah, yeah. The first time it was, I have to get out of this job. I didn't really know where I was gonna go. I wanted the freedom to make my own schedule. I was completely burnt out. So by the time I had my energy back and I realized, I just took a leap. And at that time, there was some things happening in the oil field where companies were downsizing. And so I just utilized it, turned into something, because what I did was I went on my own, not even really realizing that opening up a consulting business to help these companies that were having to get rid of employees, it would even be a thing. So I did marketing. I used the relationships that I had built during that time, and I helped them, business owners, and I got back into numbers on my own. We did marketing, I did bookkeeping. I didn't even really realize what I was doing at the time. I just knew that, hey, I need my own schedule now. I'm still doing the practice. Now I'm just getting into the fact that maybe I want to go back to school. And so things were really changing fast, and it just worked. It was really just a gift. Like, following the practice and trusting in the process really worked out for me, where I ended up fully being on my own. I had plenty of clients to support my lifestyle, and yeah, that worked out for about 8 to 10 years, I would say, for me. I ended up
And then,
going.
yeah,
Go ahead.
no, go for
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I ended up returning to the corporate world, because there was a local wellness center that was opening. And I was had enough of being on my own in the office, and I was 10 years in, and I thought, "Well, this is great. I can bring all of these practices that I've been doing here on my own to help the local community in a wellness center." So I returned to the corporate world locally and helped that get that going for a couple years. Well, I think it was just a year. I think I stayed there. The whole process was like 2 years by the time we were in working, and then 1 year once it started, so
Yeah, I'm interested. I live in California, which, as you can imagine, is like the epicenter of wellness, yoga and the spiritual modalities and all those things. I'm wondering what it's like in Louisiana and Mississippi. Is it something that's gaining popularity and growing, or is it, still kind of a niche thing amongst the communities?
right, so great question. Non-existent, and I say that because the belief system in, like, the yoga belief system is perceived to be against religion. In this is in my experience. I'm not saying every community believes this. I'm not sure about South Mississippi. I'm speaking on South Louisiana alone and my experience because I just relocated here, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, there it's pretty much non-existent. It's perceived to be against religious belief. So the wellness community, it's starting to pick up traction, the belief system, the holistic, but it's very, I would say, probably it's way behind like California's and other places that practice, and they're well into plant medicines and well into these modalities. So me doing this was just completely against the natural flow of the area.
Yeah, so I'm understanding that you grew up in a religious household, and so how did you reconcile that, the probably the pressure you had from your community, from your family, and then starting this alternative path? I mean, what was that like, and what were the tensions and, the conversations with your friends and your family? What would yeah, I'd love to know more about that.
That's another non-existent answer because I was still doing it on my own in my little house environment. And what was actually happening was, like, I was just really quiet about it, and I just, like, digressed in my own. So, what was happening is I was really changing, just from the inside out, and the conversations it was more difficult for me because I was doing this in daily practice, and no one really had any idea of the impact that our conversations were having on me, or what I was doing with that conversation when I would get home, or how I was integrating that with my work. So I was using the information to just learn myself. Everything
Mm,
around me, I was taking in and learning what I needed to change, or how I needed to view something, or and it was really, I think, it was rough on relationships because the other person had no idea that this was taking place within me, and so dealing with those relationships, there was so much of, maybe let's just say, relationships that were in and out of my life so much because friends, family, all of those things, like, I was separate.
mm. And it sounds to me, we were talking a little before we got on, like now you're becoming more exposed in how you feel, how you think, what your practices are. So what is that like? What is it like to share this intimate part of yourself now with those around you?
Yeah, it's been really for me, it's been really refreshing because I can situate that, okay, I've gotten where I wanted to be in my personal self, and I am okay with sharing my story and my journey because I feel like it's complete. I feel like while I was taking the journey, I don't feel like I could do that. Now I feel like the journey is complete and I'm okay with it. and it's been great.
But
It's
when
well,
you say complete, what do you mean? Like you're done, you're cooked?
right, well, I feel like now that, like, okay, I took the journey of yoga, which is spiritual, and I took the journey of like, my psychology, undergrad degree, which is mind, and I, went into human biology master's, which is body, and then I went and got the rest of the certification to practice holistic health, and it's been integrated all together. I feel, okay, that's integrated in my life. I am that person, and it feels more whole with it all together. So while I was going through each section, I needed to go through that in my own way.
That's beautiful. So holistic health, let's talk a little bit about that because you just named 3 pillars of it, but it's kind of a vague term for me. So talk to me about what that means. What does holistic health mean?
Right. To me, his holistic health is just integrating that spirit, that mind, that body. So just learning the principles of settling in, having a calm mind. How does that look in your life? How does that affect your health? So it's just a whole person approach on wellness, like the lifestyles that are lived through the natural practices of becoming this whole person.
Okay, let's do a little role playing as if I were a client of yours.
Okay,
Let's give me a taste and the listeners a taste of what that's like. So,
sure.
hello, my name is Derek. I would like to live a more holistic life.
Hi,
Please
Derek.
help me.
Yeah,
Uh,
great. I really like to hold space for you because you come to me and you likely don't know who I am. And so, and you're talking about these subjects that are really personal. So, to get to the bottom and dig through these little surface level symptoms that you're having, and for us to get to the root cause, and it takes time. And I need you to trust me and trust the process and go through, okay, knowing this is taking time, and you may have a certain mindset on practicing natural health. You may be skeptical, which is great. So it takes a little bit of time. But what I like to do is just really try to make someone feel comfortable because I would like them to open up to me so we can really get into the depths of over the surface level symptoms. So yeah, we I would like to talk about your headaches, but we also need to know what's going on in your body and in your environment that could be contributing to your symptoms. So it can be a really deep conversation, and I really like to meet you where you are, but I also really want to hold space so we can uncover the layers of what's could be truly
mm.
causing what what we're seeing.
So you're telling me my headaches aren't just a physical manifestation of my body?
Right. Well, what I would be saying basically is your headaches could be coming from a deep rooted, a deep seated, and let's just use migraines because migraines is a little bit of a better word just for the example, but it could be coming from something that is in your organism or something that's just a mental, just mental too is really not that great of a word, but just something from your core beliefs that are stressing your system that could be manifesting into a physical ailment.
Mm. So I have this pain in my back too. So could those be related?
Right, it could be because we're all connected. So you could actually have a pain in your back that is manifesting as a headache, and you're treating a headache, and you're not really thinking about the connection of it actually could be your back. So our body is connected to our mind, is connected to our entire organism works as one. So we need to try to connect the dots. Like I think about it as just detective work. Let's just get down to connecting exactly what you just said. If my back's hurting, but I'm having headaches, I might not have a backache. I have a headache, but it's really my back.
Mm. So are you saying that my ailments could be connected to some internal discomfort or difficulties with my partner or trauma from my childhood. Is that
Exactly.
what you're saying?
Correct. It stems, so the basis of some of these beliefs, some of these age-old beliefs are, it goes from a mental plane to an emotional plane to a physical plane. So it manifests in just all these symptoms. And so if you're treating the symptom, then what about the root cause? Because it's just going to keep showing up and sometimes it does get worse.
I love this. Yeah. I think it's so important to really look at these limiting beliefs, right? Because so many of our beliefs drive who we are and how we show up in the world. And I love the approach that you're taking because it gets at the core of why these symptoms are actually manifesting. You know, much
Right.
of the work in with medicine in the medicine world, plant medicine, is it's always there's usually something in the in our shadow work that is manifesting in the physical plane. So just like you said, some disconnect with our hearts or some trauma from our childhood. And I feel like today's medical system really addresses symptoms. These like what's wrong with you, and then let's fix that, as opposed to okay, let's look at the symptoms and then backtrack where those symptoms arose. I see in the medicine world space, a lot of people come into it with addictions and they don't understand it's not the addiction that is the problem. It's whatever they're running from. It's whatever is deeply embedded in the body that they've never been able to access.
Right.
So now I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's profound and it's a great point because a person may not even really realize what they're running from because you block it out and you may not realize that you're blocking it out. And that, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's just root causes of addiction is just not running, but you don't really realize that you don't know it consciously, you don't realize consciously that your subconscious is running and it's just creating this nervous system that is just feeding this organism and it's just crumbles. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you also look, because I feel like a big part of this puzzle is diet and stimulants. Um, so how do you approach, say somebody is drinking every day, and obviously most people drink to suppress emotion or to numb themselves so they don't have to feel. That's what I did for many, many years. And I'm just wondering how you work with people with those characteristics and those aspects of themselves.
Right. So especially with an issue like drinking, the main thing is to just start small. To make these big changes, it would be really tough for me to say you have to stop drinking up front, like right away, because my goal is to help you to make these small changes to make a that for the big change to happen later. So if I come in and I say off top, drinking is a no, you probably already have known that. So if I'm gonna be rough up front, I don't feel like that would be a fair game. So my take would be, listen, this is where we're starting today. Can we make one change to today or tomorrow that you can commit to and we can work from there? So whether that change is instead of grabbing your drink first thing at noon because you're at lunch and let's just say you're in sales and you're with clients and you're at lunch and you're having a beer or a glass of wine, whatever it may be, can we change that to a tea? Or can we make that one shift? And so these little shifts can end up being a really great fast forward for later. So just for me, it would be start small and something that we can manage now.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, much of the work in that would be the exact advice I would give people in the integration part of the work of ceremony is to really commit to one small change. One, just one thing that you can commit to and will change behavior. And so many people want the big change, they want um, yeah, they just want things to be different tomorrow. Normally, that's not how things work. Sometimes it does. Sometimes there is this lightning strike that comes in and goes, pow, pow, it changes now. And I have seen that happen both in myself and in other people. But most of the time, it doesn't work. What works is this small commitments. Today I'm going to meditate, 10 minutes, and then tomorrow I'm going to make the same commitment. Yeah.
Right.
I'm wondering what what your practice is like now. Could we talk a little bit about that?
Sure, practice in which way? Like yoga practice or plant medicine practice?
All of the above.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get to so I'll pick up where I left off earlier, maybe it'll answer that question na
Okay.
naturally. So, uh, I went from, let's say, yoga, and I did this silent retreat, which was great, several years in, and that was amazing, and then from the silent retreat, I guess a couple years after that was really the first, integration with psilocybin, which was great. I had never experienced it in, any form, not recreational, not the therapeutic, nothing, and so I got to experience psilocybin, and it was amazing. That experience was it was I had done some research before, and so that was great, and then I really
Wait a sec. Let's dig into that a little bit. Your very first time with mushrooms. What was it like? What was the container? Yeah, I'd love to know more about that
yeah,
because your first time with plant medicine, right, is
yeah.
such an important point. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was I had no idea what I was getting into other you can read about something and until you experience it, especially blind, and I was in my late 30s at this time. So, I mean, I was, an adult with responsibilities and I'm just like, "Okay." I read about it. I grabbed a confidant. We went in together and same thing, no experience. And so yeah, it was wild because I was a couple hours in really before it was, like, affecting the other person. It was like I didn't really know what the effects were, and then it was like this whole light bulb just went off, and then I realized I understand exactly what this is. And I accidentally and I didn't even really know the terminology at the time. I mean, I had no idea. I accidentally started facilitating this other person's, like, the remainder of the time that we were under, and w by the next morning, I woke up and was like, "Wow, this is, like, profound, and this is new to a South Louisiana girl and all of this stuff, and people have been experiencing this for decades." So I took that lesson and really, that just catapulted me into the whole, okay, plant medicine journey. So that was amazing. Several times, I did it several times again with some friends in the same context. Just it was really fun, and, it was just really eye-opening. And then the next thing it had been several years, and I was just deep in a spiritual journey and was didn't realize it at the time, but the circle was kind of completing itself from the start of my yoga journey into going through all of those modalities through the years. And I hit a point in my journey where I felt like I needed something more. I had been through all of the modalities, I was still having this really mental battle. I was having a mental battle on good and evil and what what discerning between what's coming into my experience that I need to take in and hold or that I need to learn from or which side of the coin do I need to take next? So I was having this mental struggle and I reached out to, what you would reach out to if you're going through a spiritual journey. I did my meditation practices. My diet and exercise was fine. I reached out to my counselor, my therapist, and people that I trusted and confidants in my life and even to a priest. And so I wasn't really getting the fulfillment through any modality that I was trying and I was just struggling. So the next thought was, no, I need a shaman. Where I am now, for I can help other people. I didn't even really realize that I was helping other people till after they would tell me, but I have no one that I feel like I can break this mental. There's one more I felt break that I need to just push through, and I can't do it alone, and I don't. I all of the resources that I tried to use weren't really getting me exactly what I felt like I needed, which I wasn't sure. So when I thought I need a shaman, I just said, you know what? I'm doing it. I looked up shamanic work and I landed on the retreat in Costa Rica and I chose Soltara and I researched the Shipibo tribe and that's how I discovered ayahuasca.
Okay, so you're on the internet, you're like, I gotta find a shaman. Did you have any inkling what that thing was that you were kind of going after? Was it a longing? Was it you wanted to feel this connection? Was it something you feel like you needed to heal in yourself? Like, what was that thing that you're like, I need a shaman?
I'll tell you, I went in because you are asked why are you here and what do you expect? So my answer to that question, which will answer yours, is I went in, I needed clarity and I wanted to let go and I wanted to find clarity. Exactly what I wanted to let go of, I'm not sure. That one thing, it was something pressing. I will say that I was felt like I was at the end of a cycle in my life from what I had done before, having been in the corporate world, making that transition through school, raising children and a family. And so the that was wrapping up and I knew that I wanted to do something different. And so it was these pieces that everything was coming together and I was at a crossroads but I knew that okay, I'm at a crossroads in life. I have an open path, but there's something there that I can't quite put a finger on that I need to let go. And
Mm,
I I felt like that would push me. I would feel more comfortable in that setting. And I don't really know why I felt that way. It just felt like a modality that I wanted to try because nothing else before that really worked.
mm. Okay, so walk us through your Costa Rica trip. You
Yeah.
know, what it felt like, what the ceremonies were like. I'd love to know all the details.
Okay. I have to tell this, even getting there was a thing. So that you hear, oh, some people say the medicine calls you. Is that really real? So I have an early flight out and I wake up that morning, don't know what made me check the flight because I was experienced flyer and the flight is the flight is going to be moved up. So I have to go to the airport. You already have to be there a couple hours ahead, so I'm like, "Oh, I need to rush. I need to get there now, like, I have to go, because if I don't go now, I'm not making this flight." So when I get there, I go to try to change my flight and they can't get me on a plane. They can't get me on a plane. It was 20 minutes at the counter where there was no option. Like, you're not going to be there early enough. So waiting, waiting, waiting. 20 minutes, one person cancels their flight, gets me a seat that's open on this flight, so I actually make it in time. And so I was like, "Okay, so I'm definitely supposed to be here." So that was a real fun experience. So anyway, I get there and I'm like, my family is like, "Make sure we know where you're at. Let us know when you get there." And I didn't know anything about whether we would have internet. I mean, I'm taking the jump. I'm going. So even going there was a big deal for everyone because it's just not something anyone from there does. So I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm, being stupid or brave, but I guess we'll figure it out." So we get there. It was great. I mean, amazing entrance into the community. And I really wanted to give respect to the medicine just because of what I experienced with psilocybin. So even the bus ride, the 4 hours or 5 hours we were in the bus on the way there, I was really still into myself. I was really just thinking about how this medicine needs respect and just really trying to stay silent and know and read the book and not really I wasn't really I wasn't really socializing a lot with the people that were around me. I was really nervous and I just wanted to really just zone in onto my own experience. So I knew once I stepped off the bus that this was this was starting. It wasn't when ceremony started, it was starting. It was starting now. The land was very magical. It was, the feeling of stepping off, the nerves were gone. It was like, "This is my time. I can focus on me and this is gonna be the perfect atmosphere and with the perfect people." The facilitators met us right there, and it started off, just a knowing that this is where I need to be. So, we go into ceremony, and amazing how they take you in the first ceremony, and it was really intense. It was really intense.
Tell me about the first cup. What was the first cup like?
The first cup it tasted sweet. It tasted sweet. I can't say the same for the second and the third. It was very different. The first cup was really sweet. It tasted like I was drinking a vine with sugar a little bit in it, but yeah, it wasn't bad. The first one wasn't bad.
Okay, walk us through that first ceremony. What did you feel? What did you see? Yeah, just love to
Yeah.
know more.
Yes. I I would have to say within the first 15 or 20 minutes, I was really tuned into my body. Like, my body started just moving. Like, I was almost doing the yoga practice sitting on the mat. Like, I could feel it.
Oh.
I could feel it coming on, and I could feel my body loosening up and relaxing, which was like, "Okay, I'm great. This is great." And the room just blew up. Like, within 30 minutes, like, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I the room and it was a really small group, which was great. It was really intimate. The Everyone started having their own experience, but I was having such a completely different experience from everyone around me. I was zoned into my body. My mind was just in this ether. And the next thing I know, I just remember hearing, and it was probably a long time after we started. The timing is weird, like it goes away. So I remember just kind of coming to and just hearing the shamans were walking around. So at this point, I didn't really know that they were walking from person to person. You can't see anything, it's black. So I could hear what was going on, but I couldn't see anything. So, there's these little lights going and people walking and all these things happening, and I'm in my own zone. And so my mind starts going to the things that my psyche needs to work out, but it's using the sounds around me to do that. So, it was
Mm.
really intense 'cause, for hours, it was like every time I would take a breath when the songs would stop, I would just kinda breathe for a second and catch my breath and be like, "Oh, okay, this is over," and no, it would just start again. So, it would just get really intense, and then it would be a break after what felt like forever, and then I was on my mat the whole entire time, and then I had a purge at the end almost I didn't realize it was gonna be the end, but it felt like half of a lifetime, really. I'm like, "Okay, I'm spent. I need this has to end soon." And they told us, "We don't know what time it's going to end, and so just please make an agreement to stay." So, yeah, so I did a big purge at the end, and after the purge, I didn't really know it was gonna be the end of it, but after the purge, I laid on my mat, and it just so happened that it was wrapping up at that point, and so my mind, I guess, at that time is like just gaining information. Like, okay, have I figured out what's really happening yet at these ceremonies? How is the movement around? So I stayed in the Maloka the whole night and slept and woke up in the morning and did my thing and then did it again the next day. I just really remember thinking, I don't know if I really want to do this. This was really long. I don't know if I want to do this again. And then I had so much compassion for what the people around me were going through that I was like, if anybody can go through what a lot of these people were going through physically and come back, I'm gonna do it again. Cause I was really thinking, no, I think I'm good. But no, I did it again.
Yeah.
Second
Yeah, it's a very
ceremony was
common. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, second ceremony.
Yeah, second. So second ceremony, it was really rough to get the second cup down. I'll have to say that one didn't taste as sweet as the first one. Got I didn't go back and get a second cup the first ceremony. I was lost somewhere in space during this whole process. I hadn't figured out when to go back. I wasn't even thinking about anything. I was just letting the songs and the medicine really just work the best way I could do that. So the second preparation for the second ceremony, I really had to zone into my mind and say like, "Okay, it's fine. You're in a very safe environment. You're here to let go, relax into the songs, and just let happen what's gonna let happen." So, it was intense last night, and it probably will be intense tonight. I had a lot of self-dialogue, like, "We're respecting the medicine. We have to let this happen." They talk to you, really helpful. I mean, it's a great experience. So, I went in the second one a little nervous, but as soon as I drank it, I was okay. I was like, "No, this will be great." So, I would say middle of the second ceremony is when I just had that just release, like, I really had a release in the middle of the second ceremony, and I just felt like my brain got it from there. Like, okay, this is what's going on. I'll let the sounds of their voices just utilize the plant medicine and do what it needed to do. And after that purge, it was just me letting the shamans work with the plant medicine energy inside of me, and I just let it take over, and I ended up just really staying wrapped up in my little mat and my cocoon the rest of the night and really, just appreciating what was happening around me. So from there, I went to so much compassion and appreciation and just connection to everything that was going on around me because I was having such a very different experience than everybody else. I was just really in my own mind praying for what everybody else was going through, and I just
Mm.
really wanted them to feel like like just better. And then so third ceremony didn't taste any better. The third tasting it the third time was really rough. I was really just thinking, how are some of the people there, like, drinking so much? Because I can't really get through it. But it was third ceremony was a lot more of the same like the end of the second. I let the integration I was sat up for the shaman songs, and I let the whole experience just really engulf me too. I felt compassion for humanity as a whole, and had a lot of self-dialogue and received and just felt like I was receiving instructions and just really having a really deep understanding of w what the medicine and the work is about. It was amazing, amazing.
Mm. Okay, so you had your big release that they were wanting in the second ceremony. What changed in your life after this ceremony, or what changed in you after this ceremony?
So I just felt like I had mental peace. I went from like I said, struggling from the paradigm of left and right and what is this? And after that release, I felt peace in my mind. And I felt just this sense of calm like I'd never experienced before. And so coming home from that, always take the advice of stay an extra couple days, and it was strange how that happened too because when I first grabbed so I picked my phone up, I gave it to the facilitators for the whole entire time. So when I grabbed my phone for the first time, the day before we were leaving, ceremony was over, we had an extra day. There was this huge storm in the States, and I couldn't get back home anyway. So I was able to stay an extra few days for it was great because I wasn't expecting that. I was just gonna come home. So I was so glad that I did because there's so much that's still happening. I was still going to even though ceremony was over, the plant medicine was still working in me all night. I was only getting a couple hours sleep. And so you're exhausted. I couldn't form 2 thoughts together, like, I needed another person for another brain because my brain was still trying to connect new dots. It's needed to stay. And so coming home, I had already had some plans of, I am gonna relocate. I had sold my house already before this whole ceremony, and so I was already coming home to jump into another a different, like, way of life, and that put the dots together for me to take the step into trusting, "Okay, I'm out of the corporate world for good, and I'm jumping in and trusting myself and my path to jump into this practice and really get manifested into real life."
Mm, beautiful. And how long ago was that ceremony?
So the ceremony was in January, so when I came back, I made it happen.
Beautiful. And do you feel called to continue your work with her, or are you like one and done?
No, I do. I feel called and I feel like I can tap in a different way that I wasn't able to tap in before. I think for it's almost like psilocybin. Like I knew when's the next time I need to go and take psilocybin and take that journey. And I feel like it's the same. I don't know if I could've went right back. Like, I was joking there, I'm like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stay here, I have freedom, I can do that, like, I don't wanna be this facilitator." And then, like, whatever the plant medicine runs its course a month later, I'm like, "Oh, wow, that was a stretch," but, yeah, I could definitely the intelligence of these plants and how it really integrates into our human experience is amazing.
It's magic. It's absolute magic.
It's magic, and I was in there
Yeah,
and after the first night, I told the shamans, I'm like, "This is magic, and you guys are angels, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, but that's the only thing." I was I would wake up in tears just like, "These are angels," like, no doubt.
yeah. We're really lucky. Very lucky to have this medicine and access to it. And yeah, it's changed my life. And it sounds like it's impacted you also very profoundly.
Very profound, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about your practice now because I, I'm going to say that the reason you had the experience you had is because you have a very solid practice. And many people that come to this work do not have a practice. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking about doing this work, it's important to establish some type of practice to help you get in touch with your body, to calm your mind, to watch your breath, like all the core modalities. So I would love to hear about your practice and what is it? And yeah, what do you like? What's your daily practice like?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I really felt that my experience was different because of the years before that, just going through breath work and really tuning into your body and really understanding what's really happening when these plants are ingested. And so the sifting through the seeds, the bad seeds and the good seeds, and just really preparing yourself through meditation and not in meditation it's not wonderful these times. Like sometimes I could sit in meditation fine and get through 30 minutes an hour, and sometimes 3 minutes is really difficult to get through. So the practice of being compassionate with yourself, being patient, but also knowing that you have to show up for yourself as well. So the meditations, the diet is just so important because just the cleanliness of your diet, it matters. It really does matter. I took the diet very seriously. Coffee was the hardest deal for me, but so your diet, your meditation practice, contemplation, just reading, writing, just practicing when you're even talking to people, learning what an emotion is and what an emotion feels like, because if we don't know even what our emotions, we can't name it. We think something is sadness and we're mad. So you really just learning yourself really as best as you can to respect the medicine. It really, really does help because I really had a different experience, especially for my first time than anybody else there. Couple other people had an experience
Yeah.
close to me, and they had both done the real inner work before. So those that come prepared, and look, I didn't even really know I would be prepared. That was just the experience I had, and it just the preparation works. It really does work. So daily
Yeah,
practice.
definitely.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So daily practice for me is different, I think, a little bit every day. Some mornings I get up and I walk outside and look at the sun or ground myself in the grass, or some mornings I go straight to my mat. Some mornings I'll sit with coffee and write a little bit. Some mornings I have to answer phone calls, but I always make the promise to myself that in some way I'm going to show up for the practice no matter what it is. And sometimes it's just a shower because I'm really emotional and I just need to cry it out. It's the human experience. It is what it is. It's just being patient and compassionate with yourself.
Cry in the shower. That's a new part of the practice.
Hey, sometimes that's what you need.
Yeah, that's a good one. And did you find that after the ceremony, you had a deeper feeling for your practice? Was that also a result of, because that's what I have found.
Yes, absolutely. For definitely. Think it comes out very different. Very a lot I felt really connected. Before, I felt really disconnected because I kept going back and forth. After, I felt very a lot more so connected and connected to these practices. It really matters to take care of yourself.
And as you get connected to yoga and through your body, are you also connecting to any of the yogic texts or any of the teachings of yoga? I'm wondering.
Yeah, I can't really say if my physical practice it's separate for me. So when I do my readings or my reminders, it's in a separate space. When I'm in the space of practicing physically yoga, I'm really focused on my breath and my movements and mirroring that and clearing my mind. So for me, my whole reading and study is separate, which that's a I'm gonna have to try that. Just connecting
Yeah.
these
Yeah, maybe just a short little paragraph, before you practice or after. I find sometimes it can inspire the practice, the physical practice. Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's gonna be next on my list.
All right. Great. Awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to share with the audience? And it's been such a beautiful journey to hear I can't wait to come back to the medicine and to
Yeah.
hear about that.
Yeah, I'm excited. It would just be really compassionate with yourself and really patient and just, we tend to pour out so much to everyone else around us and we forget that it starts with yourself. That's really just really important. So yeah,
Yeah. And I would add forgiveness to that list.
absolutely.
We just to forgive our path and anything that has come up in the past, and just realize that each day is a new day. And every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, here's another day. I get to be a whole different person today.
Exactly.
And
Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah.
yeah. And where can people find you online if they want to connect?
Well, yeah. So my website is probably the best. I do have an Instagram. I have like 9 posts. I'm so new to this. It's crazy, but Instagram at holistically integrated and my website is holistichealthintegration.com.
Great. And we'll put those links in the show notes to anyone that wants to reach out and say hi.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for this wonderful interview. Thank you for reaching out. And I just send you so many blessings for your journey. And I'm glad you found the medicine, or she found you. Not sure how it works.
great. Yeah, no,
But yeah,
thanks
thank you.
for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. If you ever come to California, please look me up, and I have a great yoga teacher here. So
Oh,
we can
yeah,
do a
for
yoga class
sure. Yeah,
together.
that'd be great. Thank you, Derek. I
Yeah.
appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Of course. Bye.
Bye.
Hausch. I hope everyone's doing great out there. Thank you for joining me on this path. I'm happy to announce my new book on animal spirit guides is coming out in a month, and I'd like to offer it to all of my audience for free. I'll leave a link in the show notes, and just hit that link and drop your email in, and I'll put you on the release list. So much gratitude. I hope you're having an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hausch.